But it is what it is, and we have to look into the future. And I think the future isn't that bad for gold, actually.
Well, that brings up the topic of gold, of course. You wrote the book on gold, and most people's their gut instinct would be in a stagflation environment, that's a great environment for gold.
Yeah.
It was historically in the 70s, but here we are, gold is not performing. Have you had, what's different about this time from the 70s? Why is gold not doing what people are expecting it to?
Well,
Or in euro terms, it is performing though in euro terms, much better than dollar terms, right?
yeah. So I think this is really one important thing to consider. Um, we have seen until recently, I think gold was up slightly in US dollar terms, but the US dollar is like a big wrecking ball, and it's wrecking everything all around the globe. We have seen this brutal bear market, not only in equities but primarily in the bond market. It's now spilling over to real estate markets, and as I've said before, private equity will be the next shoe to drop. Crypto is already impacted severely. So I think that gold, until recently, has done quite a good job of stabilizing your portfolio, and actually it held up pretty much okay. In euro terms, as you rightly said, it's up 8%. It's probably one of the very few assets that is up year to date. In Japanese yen terms, it's up 15%. So I think that the US dollar, the strength of the US dollar is one of the major drivers. Then I think if you have a look at gold and real yields, I think that actually gold should still be $200 lower. So my interpretation would be that gold is kind of calling bullshit on the rate hikes, and it's already kind of sniffing out that the Federal Reserve cannot continue on this path with rate hikes, but also very aggressive quantitative tightening. Um, but Jim, to be honest, I would have if you would have told me what's going on like 2 years ago, and then wanted me to forecast the price of gold, I would be a liar if I would have said, well, 1700. That's like what the price of gold should be. I would have said a significantly higher number, definitely. But it is what it is, and we have to look into the future, and I think the future isn't that bad for gold, actually.
Yeah, people are crying on Wall Street silver. Well, we care about silver and to a lesser extent gold, but people are, do we just have to wait for the Fed to pivot? Is that the one thing that's going to be the trigger for gold and silver to really just launch at this point? Is the Fed doing a pause?
I think it is, and I think we all know, and I mean, if you study financial markets and especially the track record of the Federal Reserve, I mean, I think they didn't see anything coming over the last 18 months. Um, Jay Powell said, he actually doesn't have a clue how inflation is. I don't know his exact wording, but he doesn't
Yeah.
understand inflation, which is so. I think that sums it up pretty well. But now that the question is, if they got it so wrong in the past and they didn't see anything coming, so why does the market still believe that they will get it right in the future? I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense to me. And now the market expects 60 basis points of easing next year already. So basically, they say that the Fed will tighten so much over the next half year that it will cause the economy to roll over. But not into a brutal recession, but rather, into a soft landing. This will result in economic weakness that will cause the Fed to ease next year. So Kevin Muir, my friend, said it's like racing to a stoplight so you can wait longer. It doesn't really make any sense. My game plan kind of is, I think we are already seeing a significant slowdown in the
Mhm.
US economy. Of course, labor market is still, at least on the surface, holding up well, but I think that the ISM will go below 50 before the end of this summer. And historically, I think every time we went below 50, the Fed at least paused, or most of the time they started lowering interest rates again. So that's kind of my game plan. And I think as soon as this is happening and the market is realizing it, I think this will put in a low for the price of gold and also for the price of silver. But we shouldn't underestimate, it's also it's a confidence game. And Powell did pivot already quite often. And we remember 2018. We remember the Fed telling us, well, it's only transitory for such a long time. Now we're having the highest inflation numbers, for more than 40 years. So it is really about the trust in the Federal Reserve. It's about confidence in the system. And therefore, I think it will be a process. It won't be like one day or one moment, this pivot. It will be more of a process. And that I think the price of gold is already kind of sniffing that out. And if you have a look at commitment of traders report, for me, I have to say it's not for, how should I say, it's not decisive for me, but it's telling me where we are on the map. And it's like, if the cook, the chef has prepared dinner, everything is ready, a beautiful dinner, but he hasn't said, well, dinner is served.
Mhm.
So that's how I would interpret commitment of traders report. I think it's a great setup. I think it's a very good risk reward.